The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you and your family. This week in Cincinnati on 9 on Your Side.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Cincinnati. I'm Tanya O'Rourke. First thing this morning, our conversation with Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. The Republican from Bowling Green has a strong, independent, libertarian streak. He was at the Brighton Center in Florence Friday. Paul says he will vote to block President Trump's emergency declaration to build a border wall. He also voted against President Trump's recent nominee for Attorney General William Barr. 9 on Your Side anchor Kristen Hartman sat down with him Friday morning at the Brighton Center in Florence to talk about those and many other issues.
Let's talk about the emergency declaration. You are not for that.
Right.
So you have branched off and away from the president on that.
And I think it's a good example of how I put the Constitution first. You know, my oath of office is to the Constitution, not to a political party and not to a person. I do get along with the president very well. I'm for border security and will vote for more border security. In fact, I introduced a bill this week, you know, for a new surcharge on legal immigrants to help pay for border security. And yet, I'm not for the president spending money that Congress didn't give to him. The Constitution is very clear. It says only Congress can pass a law, and only by law can you appropriate money or spend
Checks
money.
and balances.
Absolutely. Our founding fathers wanted to pit the House against the Senate, the Congress against the president. Madison said we would pit ambition against ambition, and they would kind of butt heads some, but each would be jealous of their power, and in doing so, you would not allow too much power to accumulate in one person.
That said, is there a problem at our southern border, and how do you fix it?
There is a problem, and Milton Friedman put it this way: you can't have open borders and a welfare state. We got free health care for the most part if you go to the emergency room, and we pretty much don't deny anybody from school, which is fine, but that doesn't mean we can accept 700 million people. So there have been polling that show for the whole world, if everybody could come that wants to come, you'd have 700 million people. So we admit about 1 million people legally. I actually would consider increasing that a little bit. You know, I think we could go from 1 to 1.2, 1.3 million. I think we could increase the number of legal immigrants. I think we should charge them a little more, and the charge should go towards border security. I think we should have more work programs. I think most immigrants come to this country for the American dream. They're good people, they work hard, but we can't have open borders and just let anybody come.
Okay, so do you think there should be a wall?
In places, yes. I think there should also be technology that we use. I mean, there are parts where there's 100-foot cliffs in national parks. You're not going to put a wall there. You know, there are beautiful parts in Big Bend, part of Texas, where there are cliffs and mountains where you don't need walls. In some of the urban areas, I think you do need walls. In like Monterey, where they have had walls for 20 years, the walls do help to try to direct people from streaming across the border to go to the legal ports of entry. And then I think we should make it easy to come through legally. We should make it easy to come through to work. And I think for the most part, immigrants are an asset to our country, but we just can't let everybody come in without law.
Okay, so you do agree with the president that there should be something?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
The other thing we have to change is we now have an incentive for people to come across the desert bringing children. And some of these children are dying, some of them are, you know, caught up in this whole system. The reason they're bringing the children is because it's a different system. If an adult comes alone, they get sent back. If you come with a child, you get a longer process, and you say, oh, I have an economic hardship in my country, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. Then you go through like a year-long process, and you go through lots of court trials, and some will win and stay in the country. If you come across without a child, you get sent back. So you can see what we've done is we've created an incentive to drag kids across the desert. Some of them get sick in the desert, some of them get abused in the desert. I mean, it's not a good thing. In fact, in our country, if you took your kid across the Mojave Desert, you'd be arrested for child endangerment. That's what's happening. These kids are being endangered as they're drug up there. So we need a better system where we don't encourage people to walk halfway across Central America bringing their small children.
Paying all of this attention to a border wall and talking about money for a border wall, what suffers here at home because all of the attention is going to this right now?
Well, you know, there's a lot of things we can take care of at home. I don't know if the wall's draining it because we haven't
appropriated it.
We haven't been doing much. But
like the war in Afghanistan, you know, if you extrapolate it to the war in Afghanistan.
I do think that there are things like the Brent Spence Bridge that we could spend money on here at home if we'd quit spending that money in Afghanistan. And that's one of my pet peeves. We're spending over $50 billion a year in Afghanistan. We build their roads, their bridges, and we don't have enough money left to build things in our country. So I think we could do a lot better if we'd spend less in Afghanistan and more in Kentucky.
Okay, I have just one more question. When it comes to talking about this emergency declaration and, you know, just the conversation surrounding it, what isn't getting attention that needs attention?
I think people are thinking it's about a border wall when in reality it's about the Constitution. To me, it has nothing to do with the border wall. The debate needs to be, can a president spend money that Congress didn't give him? If a president can, realize that if the next president's Bernie Sanders and he says that climate change is an emergency, we're going to have soldiers building solar panels. We could have the fossil fuel plants, oil and gas shut down because, you know, that's leading to climate change. If that happens through executive order, we're going to want to live in a world where each president successively gets more and more power. And so even though I agree with President Trump, we need more border security, we can't let the power to become an extra or an extraordinary beyond the Constitution kind of power. So I'm very, very concerned that this isn't just power that he gets. Every successive president's going to get more power if Congress doesn't stand up and try to protect that separation of powers.
Slippery slope kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
The Brighton Center provides a wide range of services to families and people in need, including recovering from substance abuse for women, affordable housing, and adult and early childhood education. Senator Rand Paul was there to learn more about what the Brighton Center does for our community and to show his support for its mission.